First of all, I welcome the opportunity of speaking on this. I remember the song, I'm leaving on a jet plane, but now we're going to be using jet engines to try and keep the lights on in this country. First of all, Minister, I don't think there's a person in this country that, while we mightn't agree with everything that you're doing, no one wants to see the lights gone out, and it's nearly any port in a storm, and that's what we're left with at the moment. It's ironic, though, has been highlighted earlier on, that under this emergency legislation you can disapply, be it the Habitat EIAs or the Habitats Directive, parts of it, with your buddies in Europe, that you can do one thing one day. But when we asked you 2 years ago, when Burnamona had a court ruling under the same Habitats Directive, Shannon Bridge, and we've brought it up to you many times, Shannon Bridge and Lanesborough, we have said there's massive amount, it's actually being exported at the moment, basically the bark of the trees, and we could have used that for producing electricity, and nothing was possible. But then when a government wants to do something themselves, everything is possible, and that's one thing that I just don't admire about this piece of legislation. We have, and has been highlighted earlier, we have to come to reality that we've gone in this country, that we're going to follow in nearly everything that Europe told us down through the years, and we have come like the birds in the nest. We don't have anything. We're reliant on the gas coming in, we're reliant on every single commodity nearly now because, oh well, it might be dirty, or it might be this, or it might be that. But ironically enough, I'm after reading there on the phone in the last half an hour that Germany has taken down a full farm of wind turbines and they're opening a coal mine under it. Fairly unusual for the same country or for a country that's in the same Europe as we are. You have to face up to realities in times in need and in times of war, that we will need gas going into the future for a long time. And you mightn't like an LNG terminal, or you mightn't like putting the gas back down in Kinsale again, but we have to make sure we do that, because there's a few things you need in life for your country, and that is you keep people warm, you keep the lights on, and you keep food. That's the most basic necessities for anybody in any country. I think there's opportunity being lost as well. The solar panels, I think farmers will move on it, and I think that will be a huge help. I think there needs to be a system that they'll get paid for putting back into the grid, because they're well used to getting charged the opposite way. But in the line of anaerobic digestion, and first thing I'll question, I think there's something in the budget, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, 3 or 4 million a year for 3 or 4 years wouldn't even build one anaerobic digester, because they cost about 8 to 12 million to build. So, like, we're relying again on the private sector to do this. And we will go through the whole planning thing, because I've seen it time and time again if they're anywhere near a town. I heard you saying the other day, Minister, that you were going to put pipes through Dublin and heat here and there. I'll tell you one thing, you'd want to be a magician to go through some of the parts of Dublin with the amount of pipes that's there already. I don't know when that will happen. I think it's a dream, being quite frank about it. But I would ask you, Minister, I just can't understand how Derry Bryan, a wind farm, and I know Michael McDougall was the Attorney General. There's solutions that can be put to make sure that that's put back up and running. I believe that you should have looked, I've no problem if you put the jet engine in below in Shannon Bridge, but I do think that you should have looked at biomass being used in those places. It would be a solution, because what we have to do now is bring bits together of different ways of generating electricity to make sure that we will not leave people with the lights out. And I'm fully behind it down the road, and I think you're sort of going ahead of yourself, but maybe I'm wrong, that the likes of offshore wind, if that's the solution down the road, great. But I want one thing to be done. At the moment, people are talking about hydrogen, and you'd swear it was around the corner. It's €22 a litre for the hydrogen that they're putting in the buses in Dublin at the moment. Jesus, you'd want to be a millionaire to drive one of them. That's the price of it. We're going to only put in 17 litres of it. It's pressure you push it in on because we hadn't the gear to fill the bus fully. That's the reality. And you have to, so obviously you have to do it at night as well, and it takes a long time. So all these things that people are talking about need to first of all analyse what can be done and how feasible it is. And the price of the bus is twice dearer. It's 800,000, where an ordinary diesel electric bus is 400,000. So we need a bigger budget if we're going down that road, and I'm not against it. But what I'm saying is you have to dance according to your music or the money you have in your pocket. Thank you.
I could be out of tune.